This is the course content actually. So first week we are going to do a quick introduction to UI and UX, where we discuss about what is UI and UX and how you can interact with UX related product in your daily life, and how you can understand UX uh, in digital or a physical product. And then on the second week and third week, we are going to go through the UX process. UX process is something that UX designers and UX practitioners follow when they approach a UX project. For an example, when you get a requirement from a client, you follow this UX process to deliver the UX design or the visual design for your client. And then we are going to discuss about Figma. The Figma is the tool that we are using in the classroom. There are other tools as well. For an example, Adobe XD or even SketchUp to do the UI design. But Figma is widely used in the industry and it is free and it has a web version as well. So that is the one reason we are using this Figma application in the classroom. So we are going to go through Figma and I will introduce you to Figma layout, and we will create some designs in Figma as well. At the same time, on the fourth week, I will give you a requirement and the capstone project that you have to submit in the fifth week of the classroom. So I will give you the details and the requirements of that particular project, and you have to do that project within the 1 week with the things that we applied, like learned in the classroom. You can apply the things that we learned and do this project. And on the fifth week, you have to present this project. You have to mention that this is the process I followed, and this is the things that I have learned. These are the obstacles or the challenges I faced during my course submission. So in the fifth week, we are going to get your presentations about this project. And finally, in the end, I will give you some tips on how to become a successful UI and UX designer and engineer. That will cover how to find a job in the industry. If you like to work as a freelancer, how you can get freelancing projects. If you like to work in a company or a startup, how you can find job opportunities and how you can apply and how you can become successful in interview process as well. So those are the things that we are going to cover in this 5-week project. So I want every one of you to introduce yourselves. Tell me what is your name and what are you doing? Are you studying or are you working? And then tell me why you selected this course and what you want to do after. Get some information, get some idea about UI and UX by following this course. We can start off with Devmi.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Devi. I'm from Vatsala. Now I am currently doing my degree at National Institute of Business Management. And I want to uh, improve my skills in UI design. That's why I selecting this course.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you very much. How about Fatima?
Good morning, everyone. I am Fatima Muna. I am from Kandy, Galagidra. Currently, I am pursuing my degree in Management and Information Technology at Southeastern University of Sri Lanka. And now I selected this course because I am interested in designing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. How about Isuru? How about Samidu?
Hello, good morning, sir. My name is Samandu. I live in California. I done HND in software engineering degree, and currently I am working at Dialogue. So I took this course because I like designing.
All right. Thank you. How about Sandali?
Good morning, all. I am Sandali Dahanayaka. Currently, I am pursuing a Bachelor of Software Engineering degree at Open University. I need to continue my career as a UI UX designer. That's why I choose this course. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for your introductions. So as I uh, heard correctly, most of you are following some software or a management course, and you want to learn UX to improve your UX skills and apply those skills in your job roles as well. So let's start off with today's session. Today we are going to discuss about what is UI and UX. So we are going to give you a brief introduction and the description about the UX, UI and UX. What is the difference between those two terms, and how you can become a successful UI or a UX designer, and what are the skills required. So that is what we going to cover first. Then we are going to discuss about future roles in the UX industry and essential UI and UX technical skills and how you can improve on them, how you can apply them to your projects as well. And number four is how to think like a UX designer. So when you're interacting with everyday products, for an example, let's say a physical product or a digital product, a physical product can be a water bottle or something like that. So is it user friendly? Is it doing the task it is supposed to do? So you always have to think about this when you are interacting in with different products in daily basis. For another example, we can take a digital banking application. So is it doing the task that it is supposed to do easily? Can we send money to someone else easily without spending so much of time? So that is how you can understand the user flows and the UX enhancements that you can do to the projects that you interact in daily life. So how to think like a UX designer is so really important. Next one, what is UX portfolio and how to build one? So as a UX designer, having a sound UX portfolio is really important, especially when you're applying for job opportunities. The recruiters or hiring managers, the first thing they ask you to send is your portfolio. So that is how they get to know about your design skills, how you can approach a project, what are the UX process you are following, are you creative? So those are the things that they look into when they try to hire someone for a job role. So having a UX portfolio is must uh, for UX designers if you are looking for a job opportunities or even freelancing opportunities. So I will give you introduction to some free uh, UX portfolio platforms that you can create your profiles and upload your designs. For an example, we have application called Behance and also Dribble. And when you move on, when you become a more experienced designer, you can create your own site if you have experience in web hosting and HTML, CSS. So you can create a own portfolio and upload your designs there. All right, let's start off with what is UX. UX is actually stands for user experience, how people interact with the product. If we take this bag of chips, a physical product, for an example, it is how easily can someone open this bag of chips and eat the chips from it. So it is a physical product, it is a physical user experience. So if it is so hard to open the bag and uh, interact with it, and let's say it is not that easy to open the bag, so it is not a good user experience. In the digital world, if I take a ride sharing application, so when I log into the application, it don't have a like a straightforward user flow. If I don't know where to click, click to get a ride, where to click to search for a particular destination. So it is not a good user experience. So you always have to make sure, even when you're interacting with different products in daily life, think like a UX designer and ask the question, is this a good user experience? Can I improve this user experience by doing something? So those are the questions that you should ask when you're interacting. So that is how you think like a UX designer. All right. So what is UX in detail? The process of enhancing the user satisfaction with the product by improving the usability, accessibility, and pleasure provided in the interaction with the product. So we are trying to improve the usability. Usability is how easily someone can use your application. Let's say, for an example, I will take an online banking application. How easily you can send money to someone else without clicking and going to so many screens. If the process is straightforward, it will have only few steps. Uh, when you sign up or sign into the application, it will show you a button to send money. And then you add the details of your receiver, and then add the amount and finally send. So it is the straightforward uh, user flow. So if it is asking for so many information, it is not that usable. Accessibility is also important. It is the second part. So when you are designing or developing an application, the end users of the application can have some accessibility issues. Especially for the elder generation, they might have some visual impairment or motor impairment where they can't see or uh, interact with your screen, or hearing impairment. So you have to make sure you find solution. You give solutions to all these people and think of all these people when you're designing an application. And finally, it should build pleasure. So if you have good usable and accessible application, but you don't have this pleasure criteria in your application, users won't come back to your application. So users will use it once and they only come back to the application when it is really necessary. But if you can provide this pleasure, we can provide pleasure by giving them good user experience, fast interactions, fast and speed up the process. And also there are things called micro interactions where you can give them small animations or have feedback to whatever they do in the screen. So you have to build and pleasure to your clients as well. When you, if you want to become a successful, build a successful product by using UX principles. If you provide all this in the interaction, it will be a successful product in a UX wise. All right, now we are going to discuss about these usability, accessibility, and pleasure in detail. So these are the criteria that you have to meet if you want to build a usable product. Usability is a quality attribute that assesses how easy user interfaces are to use. So these criteria should be met. Number one is learnability. Learnability is how easily someone can learn your queue. Let's take the banking application again. How easily they can, let's say first time they download the application, they have some mental model. This is how we can send money to someone. They physically visited the bank and fill the form and then give the money to the counter. And that is the interaction that they do physically to send the money. So you can follow the same thing in your application as well. First, you can add the money details of your receiver and then the amount and click on the send button. So learnability is not that hard. So you have to consider learnability as well. And next one is efficiency. How efficient your application is. Is it responding correctly? Does it have any roadblocks, or is there any errors or bugs or anything? So efficiency is also a good criteria that you should meet when you creating a usable product. Memorability. So let's say you download the application and you send money to someone for the first time. From the second time onwards, you don't have to learn this particular cue. It should be in your memory. So you do it automatically. So the memorability is a criteria how easily users can memorize the user flow. So from the second time onwards, they can do it automatically without it even reading what is on the screen. So that is the memorability of your application. Errors. If your application have many errors and you don't do any error handling, you are not say for an example, when entering a bank details, you are not validating particular bank accounts number. So it is it will give some errors, or even in the worst case scenario, you can send money to someone else. So you have to always make sure to validate, and if there's any errors, you should prompt them to your users as well. Last one is satisfaction. So even though if you cover all these and if you don't give any satisfaction to your user, they won't come back to your application. They will try to find another application that they can uh, do the same thing if your application don't give them any satisfaction by in the application. For an example, if you don't meet any of these criteria, if your application is hard to learn, it's not efficient, it's not memorable, and it has so many errors, and you're not prompting and giving messages to your users, so that will reduce the satisfaction of the users. So make sure to cover all these in your application when you're designing. That is usability. So now what we are going to do is, these are some applications that we use in daily life. These are Google applications, and these are some uh, electricity board application where we can pay our bills, and these are some learning platforms. These are some mobile service providers and advertising and online marketing, online store and banking application, and these are some social media platforms. So what I want you to do is quickly tell me one application that you use in daily life, and tell me, is it usable? What are the challenges that you are facing when you are using this application? Tell me one thing you like about this application and one thing you don't like. You can take any of these application or any other application that you prefer. So we can start in the same order. We can start with Isuru. Okay, Devmin, tell me one application you use in daily life and tell me one thing good about it and one thing you don't like about it.
Instagram app, I use it daily. The user can, the interface is good, very understandable, and very easy to handle. Yes.
Okay, thank you. How about Fatima?
I'm using WhatsApp in my daily life, and it is very useful to connect with friends, families, and other members. I didn't find any challenges in WhatsApp.
All right, thank you. How about Randika? Tell me about an application you use in daily life. Tell me one thing you like about it and one thing you think that they should improve. Can you speak a little bit louder? Is it possible? I'm sorry, we can't hear you properly. All right, we can move on to Samindu. Randika, you can send a message on Zoom chat if it is hard to connect. Samindu, tell me about application you use and tell me one thing good about it and one thing bad that you don't like.
I am picking Dara's app. Uh, Appearance is good, but there are a lack of products in it. So some categorization should be done in that app.
All right, thank you. How about Sandali?
Uh, I use my dialog app. It has a quick reload option, and it has more options and get in balance like that. But the uh, um, problem is it getting more time to reload. That's the problem, that app.
All right, all right. Thank you, everyone. All right, so that is your experience about a certain application. So if I tell you one of my experiences, I can take the same application, the dialog application. I think most of you find it it is responding really slow. So for an example, if I try to load that application when I need to pay a bill or add a data add-on to my account, it is responding really slow. So that is one of the issues that they had even from the beginning. So that is not a good user experience. In a user experience wise, there are some other applications as well. If we compare Uber and Picme, Uber is much more user friendly when comparing to Picme, whereas Picme have more options in their application, but Uber is only have Uber rides and they have separate app for Uber Eats. But in the Uber main application, they are only providing certain elements for Uber Eats as well. So in Picme, when comparing it to Picme, it has so many options in the navigation as well. So it is confusing for some users when comparing to Uber. There are some other applications as well. So most of these applications, Facebook, Messenger, Instagram, LinkedIn, they put so much money onto research and they learn about their users every day. So that is why most of these don't have that much of issues, even Google applications. Some of these applications, these learning applications, when you try to download this application or browse their internet website, there will be so many advertisements. So that can be another issue. So user experience wise, if you're prompting your users with so many advertisements or videos, you have to watch a video to read their content and so on. It is not a good user experience. So those are the things that we have to consider when we are developing or designing an application or launching an application to the market. Okay, we learned about uh, usability, and inside the usability we have learnability. So what is learnability? How easy it for user to complete basic tasks in the first time. The users can quickly go from not knowing the system to getting some work done with it. So we can take the same banking application again. So the first time you download the application, you have to set up your account. And let's say the first thing that you did in that application is paying a utility bill. Let's say electricity bill. So first time you have to add your account details, and then you have to submit it, and maybe you have to add the OTP code which they send as a text message, and then pay the bill. So the second time onwards, you don't have to do such things. Or even if you have to do this again from the beginning, you are already familiar with it. So you don't have to learn the user flow again. So that is the learnability. You have to make sure you give better learnability for your users as well. So they don't have to learn something they do in a daily life every time they visit your website. Their response should be automatic from the second time onwards. So that is learnability in UX. So in order to give them idea about the application, what they can do within the application and what are the features of our application, we can add this kind of onboarding process. We call this an onboarding process. Soon as users download the application, when they try to sign up, we tell them about the features, what they can do with our application. So they can add all accounts and manage accounts and track activity, make online payments and enjoy. So all this information will be presented to them when they try to sign up. And they can click on get started button and directly go to the sign up page or to the dashboard if they've already signed up. And even here, we have this kind of a tool tips. When users are hovering over this particular button, we show that what this button is about. So in Google Sheets or any other application, if you don't know something, you can just hover over certain element and it will give you this kind of a tooltip with the information. So that is also good user experience practice. You're letting know your users what they can do with certain call to action buttons in your screen. All right, we talked about usability, and inside we have learnability and efficiency. So now we are going to talk about efficiency. Efficiency is once users have learned the design, how quickly can they perform tasks? So your design should be efficient as well. So the first time users will learn your design, and then it should be efficient. They should be able to proceed with their task easily without an issue and quickly. So that if I take the banking application again, how easily they can, how efficiently, how quickly that they can send money to someone else. So that is the efficiency. Memorability. When users return to the designing after period of not using it, how easily can they redo the tasks? So memorability is also important. So if I take Facebook application, let's say for some reason you have an exam or something, you deactivated your Facebook profile for some time, let's say 6 months or so. So after 6 months, you come back to this Facebook account, you find it easy to use. So you already have mental models that this is how you can like a picture. This is how you can post a comment. This is how you can post a status. This is how you can chat with some of your friends. So all this will be there. So they are not doing any drastic design changes because they want to maintain the same consistency, and it will the users will memorize if they are not doing any drastic changes to their designs. So if I take a physical example, uh, in the childhood you were good at riding bicycles, but after some time you haven't had a chance to ride a bicycle. But after a few years, let's say 5 6 years, if you try to ride bicycle, you can still ride it because it has in your muscle memory, or it is memorized for by you. So it is a physical experience for users, even for the drivers. Even if they don't drive a certain time period, they can still drive after 1 2 years because it is in their memory. Automatically, they can perform the task. So same thing applies in digital world or mobile applications as well. Okay, next one is errors. How many errors do users make? How easily can they recover from the errors? Okay, when they, let's say for an example, I will take this website contact form. Let's go to contact us form of this. So if you don't have any error handling or anything here, users can just submit whatever the details. So right now I have added error handling. So the name is required, and then try to type invalid email address. It will prompt them a message called invalid email address. And when they, even the browser is telling them that this is a invalid email address, that you have to type a valid email address. So those are the things that you should do to handle errors within your platform. So if you don't prompt users with these error messages, they will enter some unnecessary details. So you don't get any chance to contact them even. The same thing applies to applications such as banking application. If they enter some wrong bank account details, worst case, they can send money to someone else if that bank account is already exist. But if you prompt users with error messages, so this account is not belong to this person, you have to enter the bank account holder's name and then bank account uh, branch maybe, and the account number. So if you match all these three and tell the users that this information is not matching with the bank account number, so it is beneficial for your users. So they won't make any errors within your system. And next one is satisfaction. How pleasant is to use the design. users are subjectively satisfied by using the system. So if you design an application for banking industry, I'm taking the same example again. Let's say your users can be, end users can be teenagers or professional office workers and even the elder generation. So you can't create an application to satisfy all these users because users are subjectively satisfied by using the system. But you have to make sure you include all these people. You find solutions to these people's problems, especially for the elder generation. They might have accessibility issues. So you have to make sure to give them the details about the transactions or anything in some larger fonts, or maybe they have some visual impairments where they can't see some colors. So you have to make sure you test all these colors with different filters in Figma or any other. There are online tools where you can test your designs for different visual impairments, and also make sure to cover all these people. If you give satisfaction for all these users, even a little bit, it is really beneficial for them to come back to your system and use the system again. All right, these are some actions. So in here, even in Gmail, when you try to delete a thread, it will give you this kind of option. If you swipe left, it will show delete options. But if you accidentally delete it, you still can undo it by clicking this undo button. Even in a spreadsheet, if you delete table data, you can still undo it by clicking this button right here. When you try to delete an item in your mobile or a desktop or any device or any application, it will ask you for the confirmation. So you won't be able to delete anything accidentally. So it will avoid all these accidental deletes. So it has this confirmation message. If you want to delete it, you have to click this delete button again. All right, so I told you about letting users know what is happening in the website. So in this design, what we do is the let's say people are uploading pictures to or Facebook or some other platform. So we have to show them what is happening in the background. So we are uploading the photos to the server. So we show them the progress bar with the uploading option, so they know that these photos are still uploading. I don't have to close the browse window. So something is happening in the background. So we always have to let our users know what is happening. Otherwise, they will get confused and they may reload the page when uploading is processing, or even leave the site altogether. Right. Now let's talk about the accessibility. So we covered usability topics. If you have any questions regarding what we learned so far, you can ask. So let's do the accessibility. So what is accessibility? The first icon you can see, it is for the visual impairment. So people with visual impairments, you should consider them as well. Second one, motor impairment. People who don't have good mobility. Hearing impairment, people who can't hear properly. We can provide them with these personalized options or closed captions or responsive web designing. So these are the things that we are going to cover in the accessibility. Okay, so we have some principles in visual accessibility. So visual accessibility is this one, what we can see in the screen. We pay close attention to the colors and color contrast. So if you select certain colors, let's say for an example, contrasting colors, if for your button background, let's take this example again. This one, it has dark red color background and the text is white color. Let's say the text is also something related to red. So it is, they can't read it properly. It is not contrasting. So in design, you have to make sure and pay close attention to the colors and the color contrast, especially between these call to action buttons and areas that your users put their attention to. Font size and weights. So that will improve the readability. And people with visual impairment, should have a control over their font sizes as well. So if they can't read smaller text, you should have an option to increase the font size of your application as well, and the font weights as well. Turn your article into an audio. So people with visual impairment can't read your article. Maybe they can't read smaller text. So in that case, what you can do is you can convert your article into audio. So they can click on a play button and listen to the article easily. Do not forget about screen readers. So if you develop a website or anything, most of the operating system, even desktop, Apple or Macintosh or even iOS or even Windows or Android, they have screen readers embedded to their systems. So make sure to put like understanding or good content that users can read through screen readers as well. So that will give them a good accessibility for the people who don't have people who have visual impairments, who can't read properly. Be specific with your alternative text. So alternative text is, so if I open a website, so let's say this is my image. So if I click here, if I put this alt tag, that is the alternative text. So I put alt as logo. So when screen readers or someone try to read the screen, so let's say even when Google try to crawl your website, they go through this text and all text is logo. So they will tell you that this is the logo when user try to use a screen reader as well. So otherwise, if you don't have any alt tag right here, it won't read. So it is not a good user experience for the person who don't have good visuals, who can't see properly. Be specific and put meaningful text as your alternative text as well. So in here, I have an example. The form field design relies only red and green to indicate fields with and without an error. Colorblind users cannot differentiate the fields highlighted in red. So in here we have added all the successfully filled one will be highlighted in green color and the ones with errors are highlighted in red color. But this is what colorblind people can see. They can't differentiate between those two colors. So you have to consider and do something else for maintain good accessibility for these people as well. So what we have done is the use of icons and labels to show which fields are invalid better communicates the information to a colorblind user. So you can see we have added this please enter a valid email text below the field that they have made the error. And even this cross icon to show that they have done something wrong in this field. And all the other correctly filled one have the tick. So that is how you can give solutions to these visually impaired people. And the second one, most of the news websites, when they have the article in their website, they have this kind of a screen reader or the play article option where the people with visual impairment can click on this button and listen to the article without an issue. Even here, the top design, these lines of text do not meet the color contrast ratio recommendations and are difficult to read against their background colors. So if you take this white color background and the gray color text, it is really hard to read. It is not contrasting. Users can't distinguish between the text and the background, even for this darker background and the gray text on top of it. So you have to make sure to maintain a good contrast ratio between your background and the foreground elements as well. These lines of text follow the contrast ratio recommendations and are legible against their background colors. So when you do designs in Figma, after you do the design, there are some tools or plugins that you can download and check the readability, check the contrast ratio recommendations. Are they lack contrasting? What is the ratio that they are recommending? So you can check when you are doing the designs. Low contrast text is hard to read on desktop, but it becomes even more difficult on mobile. Imagine trying to read low contrast text on a mobile device while walking in bright sunlight. Yet again, this is a good reminder that accessible visual design is better visual design for all users. So when you are developing an application for people to use outdoor, you have to consider about the accessibility or the contrast ratios as well. So I can give you one example. A few years ago, I had to create a design and develop an application for the Salesforce people. So normally the Salesforce people, they are working outdoors. They are visiting some stores and vendors and get their orders, and they are using this kind of a tab or a mobile device. So we have to make sure that it has good contrast ratio even in direct sunlight. So we had to do some research and try out with different colors and make sure to make it accessible even when it has this kind of a conditions. And the second issue we had was, even though we increase the contrast ratio of these applications, we have to consider about the battery life as well, because these people won't be able to charge their phones on the go because they are outside normally in their working hours. So we have to find a solution for that problem as well in the design. So you have to consider all these aspects when you're developing a application for specific users. So the first thing that you have to start is you have to know about your users. You have to empathize with your users, and you have to see how they perform certain actions. What are the working area that they are where they are actually using this application. So you may have to visit these people and follow their actions and how we can improve and how we can give them better user experience. So that is one of the tasks that we had to do as UX designers. Even here, an image without useful description. So people with visual impairment won't able to see all these colors. And if you add a good description right here about this graphic, it will be helpful for the users with visual impairments. So right now in this design, it is a lack of that. And when comparing to that one, this one has all the information. So it will give you the product details, product code, brand, and fit and size, lookup. All this information is there. So person who use a screen reader can easily go through this and read them before they buy this product. This image has useful descriptions, whereas this one don't have. This is the alternative text I talked about when you signing a website with rich media. For an example, image or a video or something like that, you have to add this alternative text, and it should be meaningful as well. So the screen readers will be able to read what this image is about, and the search engines will categorize and put them in their database as well. And if your server is not responding, if there's a broken image, still screen readers and search engines can pick up what it is by referring to this alternative text. All right. This is for people with motor impairment. So they won't be able to interact with your screen. So they won't be able to click buttons or type certain text. So voice notes or voice memos will be beneficial for those people. So this is where the like virtual assistants like Siri or Bixby or even Google Assistant or Amazon Alexa is really important. So these people with motor impairment can use these applications or devices to get answers to their problems. Otherwise, they have to type. So they won't be able to type. So that is why these options are there in mobile devices or uh, desktop devices as well. And people with hearing impairment can use these closed captions. So they won't be able to hear what this person is saying, but they can follow by reading these closed captions in the screen. So most of the YouTube videos, YouTube is automatically generating these captions. If you watch a video on Netflix or any other platform, it has this option to switch on the closed captions as well. So even if you upload a video to YouTube, you can provide closed captions to your videos in any language as well. All right. So those are the things about the accessibility. And this is a checklist, that website accessibility checklist most of the designers or the developers follow before they launching the application to the market. Number one is provide alternative text or non-text content. So as I mentioned, so non-text content can be the images or the any HTML5 canvas or videos or anything like that. You have to put meaningful content there. And in that way, users or the people with visual impairment can use screen readers to read this content and get to know what it is about. Add caption or subtitles to video and audio content. So if it is having video or audio content, we have to add captions or subtitles to those video or audio content for users to follow. Make content distinguishable with the help of color and contrast. So people with visual impairment make it hard to read if your colors are not that contrasting. So if it is not distinguishing between your text and the background color, the readability is not that good. So you have to make sure you maintain a good color contrast ratio between your design elements. Ensure audio video volume control as well as mechanism to stop or pause audio and video. So as a good practice, when users visiting a website, we don't automatically play any videos. So there can be certain situations this person is using your website in a library or some other environment where they don't want to make any noise. So make sure to switch on or automatically play your audio or video when users try to visit your website. So even if you have that in place, let's say when they try to play the video, make sure to give them control over it by displaying them the pause or stop button in your design, so that users always need to have control over what they are doing in their computer. So if you don't provide that, it is not a good user experience practice. Make all functionality available from a keyboard. Let's say user's trackpad or a mouse is not working. So in that case, if they still want to use your web application or a mobile app, web application specifically, make sure to give all functions available from a keyboard as well. So arrow keys should be function, and even key should function. The tab key should take them to the next element and so on. So make sure to uh, use them properly as well. Give users enough time to read and use the content, no time limits. So especially when they sign up, let's say for an example, this is a movie ticket booking application. So if you allow them to select two seats, and you quickly within few seconds you asking them to put their banking details to pay online, it is not a good user experience because they may have to find their card and enter details, and some of them don't have good motor impairment, some of them can't type quickly. So always make sure to give them enough time in those uh, scenarios. Make text content readable and understandable. So even though you have a good design, good UX, and every element is in the places that they're supposed to be, if your content is not readable, if it is not understandable contents, if you use so many jargons, it is not a good user experience as well. Because even though the person who designed this application is tech savvy, he know these all the jargons and technical terms and everything, but the normal user who try to read your application won't be able to understand them. So make sure not to use those jargons or make sure to use understandable words in your design, understandable by anyone, even for the people who don't have technical background. Provide ways to help users navigate, find content, and determine where they are. always make sure to give users details about where they are in the application. So you can do so by highlighting a certain part. So right now I'm in the contact page, so the contact is highlighted. So if I go to case studies, that part is highlighted, and even in the URL they can see that they are in the particular page. So if they want to go to the home page, they can have options. They can either click here, or even click here. So always make sure to give them those options to navigate through your website. If they want to come out from certain uh, screens, make sure to give them the navigation to go out, or give them control. Make pages operate in a predictable way. So another way, let's say you are visiting a online store. Let's go to Amazon. So Amazon website, they have a search button in a search option in a certain place. So when you try to visit a search bar on right top, so when you try to load any other design, let's say you try to browse through Daraz application or any other online application that you want to buy something. So if they don't have that particular search button on top, that is not a good user experience, because users have mental models that this is the placement for the search bar, this is the placement for the home button, this is the placement for the logo. So they already have experience by browsing this kind of a website. So if your website don't follow these practicals, it is not a good user experience. So make sure to give them what they already predicting by using your application. Next one is help users avoid and correct mistakes. So as I mentioned in the form I showed you earlier, we prompt them with error messages. So you have to fill your name. You have to put a correct email address with the @ and the .domain name. So you have to make sure you validate all these fields and give users prompt responses when they are making mistakes, so they can correct these mistakes and proceed with the action that they want to perform. Ensure compatibility with assistive technologies. That one is actually when you design an application, you have to make sure it is compatible with assistive technologies. For an example, you design an application only for the desktop devices. So people who use mobile devices won't be able to use your application easily. So they have to zoom in, zoom out, and read the content and so on. So make sure to make your website responsive and accessible with assistive technologies such as screen readers, or even Amazon Alexa, or virtual like assistant, or anyone can read the content easily without an issue. So those are the things that you should consider when you try to launch an application to the market. It can be a website or a mobile application. These are the accessibility guidelines, and you have to check all these when you try to launch. Okay, this is closed captions. In the closed captions, we have subtitles, closed captions, and open captions. So in the features wise, language usually matches the audio, subtitles don't match, whereas closed caption and open caption matches the language to the audio. Turning them on and off at will. Subtitles you can switch on and switch off, whereas open captions you can't, because those are hard coded to your video. So you won't be able to switch them off. Includes background sound descriptions. Subtitles you can't, and closed captions you can, and even open captions you can. So when you try to watch a video in YouTube or Netflix, I think you already have experience by switching on closed captions and even subtitles, and even open captions when you watch a video with the SRT file, captions, or hard sub video. This is another good user experience practice that you should follow. localization. So your website can be used with different languages. So let's say this one right here. So this one don't, it is on English language, and we have these options, all these options right here. So you can translate it easily, and people who don't understand English, or people who comfortable with any other languages right here, they can read without an issue. So always make sure to give them uh, that localization option as well. Even though if you don't have that option embedded to your system right now, if you click here, click on whatever the content and click on translate to whatever the language, it will automatically translate full page to whatever the language you like. So that is embedded to Google Chrome browser. Firefox and Brave browser also have the same options, even the Internet Explorer. So you don't have to consider much about that nowadays, but if there's a special requirement for to do that, you have to make sure your application is accessible by using some other languages as well. Okay, this is the responsive design. So when you design a web application or a mobile application, especially web design, make sure to give design for all these devices, at least for the desktop, for the tablet, and for the mobile. So in responsive design, what we do is we first start off with the mobile design. We call it mobile first design, where we add all the necessary things to our mobile screen. And when the screen size get larger, we add some other elements as well in order to maintain the design aesthetic of the system. So make sure to, when you get a project, make sure to start off with the mobile design and put all the necessary elements there, and then move on to larger screen sizes as well. So in Figma, you can do the same thing. You can start off by creating, let's create a new file right here. Okay, in here, if I go to Figma, it has these devices: phone, tablet, desktop, presentation, whatever. So when you do the design, make sure to start off with the mobile screen. And after you do the mobile screen, you can create the tablet, this one. In the end, desktop. So I'm going to use this size. So that way, when you give your design to front-end developer or someone who's trying to code your design, it is really easy for them to follow. So this is the design for the mobile, and this is for the iPad or a tablet, and this one is for the desktop. So it is easier for them to follow and do the design easily. All right. So if you're into coding or front-end development, there are two platforms that I suggest you to look into. One is Tailwind, which is widely used these days, and we have one called Bootstrap as well. So in Tailwind, what you can do is you can add this CDN to your design, or if you are developing it using some other platforms, let's say React.js or AngularJS or even Vue.js, you can call their CDN by using npm or whatever, and use their style sheets to do your design. So even when you do these kind of designs, the front-end developer most probably nowadays using these kind of platforms to code your designs, which is really easy for them as well. And this kind of frameworks have all the content, all the things that need in the design. So you can create responsive design layouts without an issue. So you don't have to code from the beginning, and you can create whatever you like without an issue by just adding these text to your elements and calling their API or the CDN. All right, next. Okay. So if your application don't perform well in mobile devices, nowadays actually more than 80% people browse web through mobile devices. So that is why we are doing mobile design first. So if it is not optimized for mobile devices, users will get frustrated. So they won't use the applications as they're supposed to. So give me uh, 2 minutes. All right. So we mentioned about the responsive designing and the framework and how users will get frustrated if the application is not performing well on mobile devices or whatever the screen they are using. All right. Again, what I want you to do is give me an example of the application that you use in daily life. And this time, tell me an application. Okay. Tell me an application that you deleted recently from your mobile device and uh, tell me the reason why you deleted it. Is there any user experience issues, or are you not using it uh, are you using it occasionally? So is that the reason? So you can give me example and tell me what is the application. Devmi? Yeah, tell me one application you deleted recently from your phone and tell me the reason. Is it because of a UX issue? What is the reason?
It, I deleted it because Uber is better to me
Oh,
than Figma.
all right. All right. Thank you. How about Fatima?
I deleted the Uber app because they have no delivery to my area.
Okay, cool. How about Isuru? Samindu?
Um, it's one hotel care app. I use it occasionally. So
How about Sandali?
I deleted Uber app because Pygmy is good than Uber.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, now we are going to take a quick break, a 15-minute break. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Okay, before the break, we were discussing about the frustrations users have when they don't experience same uh, designs in their mobile devices. And I got few examples from you as well regarding the applications you deleted recently and the reasons behind it. Some of you told that you deleted those applications because some other applications are better than that. And some of you told you deleted because you are not using some applications anymore. So those are the reasons. Actually, number one reason for people to delete an application is they are not using it anymore. So for an example, let's say you want to scan some PDFs, your university notes or something like that. And then you download a PDF scan application to your phone and do your task. You downloaded the application and scan all the notes that you wanted to scan and save them as a PDF and maybe put it in your desktop or laptop as well. So after that, there's no requirement to use this application anymore in recent years. So we are deleting that application. Likewise, most of the users delete this application if there is not any use case, if they are not using these applications anymore. Number two can be because of the competitor. The competitor application is much better than the application we are using in a present day. So we are using the competitor application and find out that this is performing much better than my previously used application. So the users will delete the application that performing not that good. Now we are going to discuss about the similarities and the differences in UX and UI. So you can see UX, UI, and we have these sections that belong to those two as well. In UX, we talk about UX strategy. UX strategy is something, if I roughly introduce it to you, are going to introduce them to you in detail in below slides. When you approaching a UX project as a design team or as an individual designer, what you have to do is you have to create a strategic plan. So these are the time frame I dedicated to gathering requirements. This is the time frame I dedicated to do the competitor analysis. Likewise, and also this is the budget and everything that include that you plan in your project should be there in the UX strategy plan. User research is something when you try to create a UX project, when you're approaching a UX project, the first thing and the most important thing is UX designers have to do is understanding their users and empathize with their users. In order to do that, we have to do user research. That is the only way that we can get to know about our users furthermore. So we can carry out user research by conducting interviews, one-to-one interviews, and ask them some questions, qualitative or quantitative questions, such as uh, give them a Likert scale and ask them, do you like this application? How much you like this application? Is it awesome? Or is it good? Is it bad? Or is it worse? Something like that. And quantitative questions, something like how long is it for you to take? Is it for you take to send money to someone by using this application? How many seconds? Do you think we can improve that to some extent where, let's say, in another competitor application, they are only using 5 seconds to do the transaction, and our application is taking more than 15 seconds. So we have to improve based on that. So that is what you can gather from user research. And also you can get some background data about these users. You can ask them questions. What is your profession? Are you currently working? Why are you using these kind of applications? What are the other applications that you have experience with? So what are you expecting from these kind of applications? In the competitor applications that you already have used, what are the good things about these applications? What are the things that you don't like about these applications? So all these questions you should ask in the UX research. Create a documentation with these inputs. And then we are creating something called user persona. So I will describe it to you when we go through the UX process in detail. User persona is something when you interview a certain user, uh, that user have a name and an age and a background info, and then some frustrations they face when using other applications, some good things about these applications. So all the things will be there. So it will be easier for the team, UX team or a development team, to follow this user persona and understand certain users. So we won't be able to interview each and every user. Let's say we are developing an application for the banking industry, and there can be up to million users who will be using this application. So we won't be able to interview each and every one of them. So what we do is we take few people, like up to 10 people, which we think that represent all these people, all these million people, and when interviewing these people, we create a user persona by adding those details I mentioned earlier. The user research part, we have to do that. Okay, information architecture is something that, let's say you gather data and you come up with the wireframe and everything. In the wireframe process, we think like this is the hierarchy of our design. So search bar should be here, and the other cards and the text and the call to action buttons should be in this place in our screen. So that is the information architecture, how you can represent information that you gathered or the data in the screens in a design form. Next one, it is testing. So after do all this, even actually in the UX process, even for the wireframes, you can do the testing. You can give these wireframes by creating interactive paper wireframes by adding sticky notes and things like that. And you can interview, you can ask some people to perform a certain action by only using these wireframes. And then you can understand what are the flaws in my design, how I can improve, what I can do to improve the functionality or improve the efficiency of this particular application. That is comes under testing. Next, we have UI. In the UI, we have color theory. So every color we use in design or branding or anything have some kind of a message, some kind of a human emotion bind to that. For an example, when we look at red color, it reminds us danger or something related to uh, hospital, or even in the roadside, it shows as stop sign. If I take green color, it is in UI, we use it to show successful message, or if the action is performed successfully, we show it to the user. So that colors bind to certain message or a human emotion. So we will go through that in UI. And typography. Typography is also another important aspect in UI, especially when you're designing a UI for mobile application or web application. When you empathize, when you understand your end users, you have to select a typography to match their needs. For an example, if you are designing an application for the professional industry, you have to you have to select some professional looking typography. If you are creating an application for the kids, you have to select some playful fonts to get their attention and so on. So we will go through typography in detail as well. And next we have design patterns. So we will discuss different design patterns. So there are few UX laws as well. So design patterns, how you can use user psychology to do a certain task by using design patterns in our design. How we give them, how we encourage them to perform certain action. Let's say click a certain button or play a certain video. How we can encourage them to perform action within our application. So in design pattern, we will discuss about that. Interactivity and animation. So we call micro interactions. So in uh, UI, there's a subfield called interaction design. So if you are good at micro interactions, micro animations, uh, like uh, in the screens, if you can create animated SVGs, animated illustrations, or interactions for the users' actions, you can become an interaction designer. So interactivity and animation is also comes under UI. So uh, empathy, collaboration, design thinking, and prototyping belongs to both of these. So empathy is something that you have to build with your end users. So when you're interviewing, as I said, in user research, you have to understand this user's background. What are their expectations? What are the applications they are using? How are they going to use our application in daily life? So that is how you can empathize with your users. And collaboration is also important. In a UX project, you have to collaborate with your users and stakeholders such as client or product manager or your co-workers, co-UX designers, front-end developer, project manager I mentioned, and all these people should collaborate to make a successful UX or a product. So the collaboration is also really important part in UX and UI. Design thinking. So how you can think like a designer. How you can, as designers, what we do is we try to find the solutions for the problems that users are facing. So let's say if you identify the problem as, let's say, the it's really hard to book a taxi during rush hours. So the solution that you can give is you can build an application uh, for finding a solution for that particular problem. So users, by using your application, users should be able to find a taxi even in rush hours easily. So that is the design thinking. So I add, we are using Google Classroom for our lecture notes and the special video recordings and also recommended readings and everything. So I will add a book in Google Classroom, which is called Design of Everyday Things by Don Norman. So if you read it, you will get to know how we can think like a designer in everyday interactions, how we can think like a designer, how we can find solutions to the problems people are facing in daily life. So that is really important to practice that in daily life, because when you get a project, you won't have that much of a time to think about it. So if you have prior experience about this kind of a project, this kind of problem, if you have the solution in your mind, it will be really easy for you. Next, prototyping. So in prototyping, what we do is after we finalize our designs, wireframes and uh, designs itself, visual design, we create a prototype. So in the prototype, what we can do is, if I show you an example in here, I have this prototype design till, okay, this loading. The prototype is something that you can present to your end users or the client. So it is a click-through presentation or a prototype where users can interact with your screens. It don't have any back end or anything. It is not connected to a server, but the design screens will be there. Users can interact with it like a normal application. It has buttons, it has everything. So in here, if I load this one right now, okay, prototyping is something like this. I have connected all these designs I have created here. This is the onboarding process where we give information about the application, and this is where they can connect. This is actually a cryptocurrency application where users can connect their crypto wallet to this application and create reports by using that. So I have created this prototype. Users can click on these buttons and move on to the next screen and see what they can achieve by using this particular application. So it don't have any back end or anything, but all the user flows and every functionality is there. So you can present it to your users or even the client and get feedback on your application. So that is the uh, usage of that kind of a prototype. Okay, now we are going to talk about each of these in detail. UX strategy. UX strategy is it is used to create an understanding between designers and the goals of the business, product or feature, which we are going to develop. More specifically, it is a document of guidelines and rules that outline how the design team aims to achieve the organization product objectives. So when you're getting a project, normally we will ask our end users or the client what is his end goal, who are what is how you can define the success, how many downloads you need. So all this information we will add in the UX strategy plan, as I mentioned in here as well, and the time frame it will take, and the human resources, how many people we require to design this kind of application. All the things will be there. It is kind of like a blueprint. Everyone in the team and even the client can follow up during the process of the design. UX strategy is the process that should be started first before the design or development of a digital product begins. You should start it at the very beginning, because if you don't have a good strategy, good sounding strategy, if there's any problems arise in the middle of the design, you don't have any documentation, any blueprint to refer to. So UX strategy is really important and you should create it at the very beginning. All right, so these are some aspects in UX strategy. So by creating UX strategy, you can understand your users. You need to understand who your users are and what market fit your product has. So if you don't understand your users, let's say you directly try to design the application without thinking about your users. At the end of your design, when you launch it to market, you will get to know you have designed and developed something that users don't like. So make sure to understand your users and their requirements and the market fit. Okay, now you understand about users and you haven't done any market research, competitor analysis or anything, and you launch some application, but you think about your users, but you don't have any market fit. For an example, let's say you are launching a ride sharing application during a pandemic situation. So users won't use this application. You have to make sure launching your application in the right time as well. So market fit is also really important. And if it is a application that you targeting specific users, let's say for an example, in your ride sharing application, you are only targeting office workers. So you should find the market fit. What kind of office users are we targeting? Are we targeting people who are using staff vehicles or uh, hiring taxis or things like that? You have to consider all this when understanding your end users. Next one is understanding your value. You need to understand your product's value. So when you when you have an idea about designing a project, let's say, let's once again take the ride sharing application, you have to compare your application with other applications already in the market. How good my application when comparing to Pygmy, how good my application when comparing to Uber, or you if you are using in any other country, you can compare with the other applications such as if you are using in Southeast Asia, it can be Grab or Lyft in US or other countries. So you can compare this with other applications and understand your product's value, how our application will perform, what are the features other applications have, who are the users of this application, how we can get more users to our platform by understanding our products well. Know how you solve the problem. You need to understand how your product actually solves those key problems. So when you understanding your users and understanding values, especially when you interview few users, you get to know the problems that people are facing in daily life. Let's say again, ride sharing application, if we take it, if one user is using Pick Me application. So what are the problems they are facing in daily life when try to use Pick Me application? Another user is using another, like let's say Uber. He can be facing some issues when he try to book a ride. So another user is using traditional way. He might be calling a taxi service and get down a taxi. So what are the problems he is facing? And another user might be using public transport for the mobility. So you have to interview all these users and direct and indirect users and make sure if your product actually solve their problems. If you can give them good mobility, if you can give them good service, you have professional drivers. That is how you can uh, solve their problems if they already have using one of these methods. Have a clear vision. You need to know where you are going. Having a clear vision helps you work on what's most valuable. So if you have a UX strategy in place, you have a clear vision as well. So you know that this week we have to complete these particular tasks, and this is the time frame we have. So you can manage your time. Time management is also really important skill in UX industry, because there when you working in a company, there can be so many simultaneous projects as well. So you have to prioritize based on the importance of this project. So make sure to have a clear vision when you are developing a design or a project, working on a project. Continuous feedback and iteration. You need to have constant feedback through data and custom interactions to continuously iterate and improve. So as a UX strategy or UX process, we normally follow agile methodologies. So even from the beginning of our requirement gathering and the designing wireframes or anything, we tend to get feedback from our users. We get participated with our users and everyone involved in the design team to make it a successful product. So continuous feedback as a designer is a really important thing. So if you wait for the feedback uh, after launch, your product won't be a good one. So even from when you start your wireframes, you have to send it to your users or a design like decision makers to get their feedback to your designs. And after that, uh, they can give you feedback and you can maybe iterate your designs and improve the design. So the UX, when we discuss about the UX process, I will tell you that UX designing is not a linear process. So you can't say that after I create the wireframes, I can move on to visual design and then I will finalize the design and submit. You have to get feedback and iterate back and forth. Maybe you, after you do the wireframes, you have to again go back and interview few users because you found some issue. So it is an iterative process where you have to go back and forth and fine tune your designs and wireframes in your design. Okay, next user research. User research is used to understand the user's needs, behaviors, experience, and motivations through various qualitative and quantitative methods to inform the process of solving for users' problems. So user research is another important aspect in UX designing. So when you get a project, as I mentioned earlier, you have to interview few users, at least 10 users based on the size of the project. So when you interviewing these people, you can ask them questions. You can prepare a questionnaire, similar questionnaire to ask every one of them. And there can be qualitative and quantitative methods to inform the process. So a qualitative method can be, uh, let's say we are giving them some open-ended questions. Do you like this design? How can you scale it in a scale of 1 to 5, 1 to 10? So that is how you can create a qualitative output for users given user data. And then we can ask some quantitative questions as well. So in the quantitative questions, what we can do is we can ask them to perform a certain task by using our application and measure how many seconds they take to perform a certain action in our platform, how many seconds they are taking to transfer money to someone else. So how we can improve on that. So that is how we can ask and get to know about the qualitative measures about the application. All right, so this is the method that we follow to do the user research and the process of user research. So if I start it from here, we first figure out the problems users have with the interface. So if it is a already existing application, we can ask them questions and we can maybe uh, refer to screen recordings. There are applications that we can implement in our product where we can record users' interactions. There's an application called Hotjar and Microsoft Clarity where we can screen record the user performance. It will hide out all the sensitive data such as usernames, password, and everything. But you can see what is the user flow these people are following. Are they performing in a way that we already expected? So you can understand users' problems by referring to these video recordings. Figure out problems users have with the interface. Find out users' problems and needs. So when you interview them, you can ask your users, are you using this application? If we launching application for the first time, we can ask questions about applications that you are already using, that like competitor applications, and get to know about what are the problems and needs that they require. The next one, we have create valuable and useful insights. So by gathering all these requirements, we create valuable and useful designs. Give me 1 second. Create valuable and useful designs. So by understanding your end users and the problems they are facing, you will be able to generate wireframes based on their expectations and avoid the things that they don't like. So it will help you to create valuable designs. And after that, we can identify early adopters. So early adopters is really important. So early adopters are the people who download your application for the first time, or in another scenario, who buy your product after launch. So for an example, let's say when you're launching an application, launching a product, let's say ChatGPT or some kind of a revolutionary technology, the early adopters are people who sign up for the beta uh, release. Or let's say when you, there's an application platform called Kickstarter where they develop innovative products and you can fund product and support them. So early adopters can go there and fund some kind of a product and help them build it. So for people who tend to buy, like even though if the technology is not proven, if you tend to buy some kind of a product. For an example, we can take Apple iPhone launch. So some people, even at the night, uh, stay outside Apple stores and uh, try to buy the product whenever it is open in the next day. So those are early adopters. Those are the people that buy the product uh, before everyone else, or download the applications before everyone else. So they, if your application or a product is really good, they will tell other people, so this application is good, you can download, you can buy this product. So it is really important. You have to identify your early adopters as well. Analyze the market to check if your product fits the niche. So if you create a product and don't analyze your market, so if my product is fitting with market requirements, so what is my market niche? So my is there any competitors? What are the competitive advantages we have? We should we pivot, or should we go in the same way that we already started? So those kind of questions you can ask, and it will help. UX research will help you to find solutions to those kind of problems you are facing. Learn about competitors' products. So as I mentioned, competitor analysis. So learning about competitors' products is really, so even though if you don't have a chance to interview a few users in the beginning, the good thing that you can do is you can do a competitor analysis. So if you already using these applications, let's take ride sharing again. If you're already using Pick Me application, you know how to book a ride, how, what are the problems that you already have, what are the other applications that have. So what are your expectations, what areas you think that this application should improve. If you are not using this application, you can ask some of your friends who are already using these applications. So that will help you to gain an idea about the competitors. So the competitor analysis is also important. Another place that you can start researching about competitors is their Apple App Store or Google Play Store reviews. So people who download these applications, let's say if they have any disappointment about the application, they will add a review in Google Play or Apple App Store. So you can start there and then interview users to get more thorough details about the application. Validate your business ideas and hypotheses. So when we designing application, first we have to make some hypotheses as well. So let's say again, ride sharing application, we came into hypothesis. Let's say, uh, okay, most of the office users will use our application. That's it. That is one hypothesis we came up with. So after user interviews or UX research, we can validate that hypothesis. We can understand, is it the correct hypothesis, or do we have to change it? Is it valid? And is my business idea sounding? Is it valid? So carrying out user research will help you to validate those as well. Measure the return on investment for your UX design. All right. So when you start off with a UX project, it can be time consuming and also it will consume money as well. So before you start with the UX process by designing wireframes or anything, you can research and measure the return on investment. How much will I spend to create this application? How long will it take for me to make that same amount and cover up my spendings uh, by after launching this application? So you can measure the return on investment. So if it is taking so much of time and money, and if it is not giving back that return on your investment, it is not a good project idea. So you should think about something else, something that more productive and something that give more return on the investment that they are going to make. The investment can be a money investment or a time investment or uh, human resource investment. So you have to consider that as well. Ensure proper navigation and a trouble-free user experience. Or so in the UX research, in the research findings, most of the users will tell you that they need good navigation in the application and trouble-free user experience as well. So you have to make sure when you do the designs, even from the wireframes, to create a proper navigation where users can go back and forth between different screens, home screen, account screen, or dashboard screen or anything. So it should be trouble-free and uh, user experience should be smooth as well. So those are the things that we can do by conducting proper UX research before starting off with the designs. All right. Next, we have information architecture. Any questions so far? You can send a chat message as well. Okay. Information architecture is like a blueprint, a visual representation of the product's infrastructure, features, and hierarchy. The level of detail is up to the designer. So information architecture may also include navigation, application functions and behaviors, content, and flows. There is no set of limit to the size of or shape of the information architecture. So information architecture is a blueprint document where you include all the details, like hierarchy of your design and infrastructure features that you are going to launch in your first launch, and maybe some functions and behaviors and some content wise text content or image content or anything, and the user flows. So those are the things that you can include in information architecture. So you can create user flow diagrams, affinity diagrams, and even in the wireframes, you can follow information architecture to design the certain hierarchy. So in the hierarchy, the search bar can be on top and the call to action button should be prominent on the right hand side bottom. So those are the things that you can consider when you're creating information architecture, a blueprint documentation, or the supporting material. Okay, this is a user flow diagram. And here you have onboarding process. This is actually a multiplayer gaming platform. So starting off with the onboarding process where we tell our users what they can do by downloading or by installing this particular application. And then after they follow the onboarding process, they can sign up by using SMS. And if they're using SMS, we are sending the verification code to their phone, and they can fill out the OTP and create the profile. And they can create using Facebook login or Google login if they already have accounts on those platforms. And they can then create a profile and give the location access in their mobile devices. And if they decline the mobile location access, we are sending them back to the onboarding screen where we display that location service is required to perform or play this game. Okay, if they allow location access, we will load the home screen map. So in the home screen map, we have all these functionalities. We have a pop-up for appear your avatar and messages, create activity, menu. All this information is there. So this is the legend. This box, I think you are already familiar with. Most of you are in software industry, so you're familiar with user flow diagrams. So this is this particular square or a rectangle. We are using it to display a screen. So this is the onboarding screen, and this is the home screen. And create activity is another screen in the application. All these are screens. And pop-up is this. So these are pop-ups. Register with SMS is coming as a pop-up in the screen for users to enter their data, and users performing some action. So here they are performing action. They are claiming their unlocked treasure, and even here they're searching. So they are performing some action. And tab is the tab inside this particular pop-up. So in the notification, they have two tabs, nearby and you. So please follow this kind of a diagram. So I will give you more details about the diagrams when we do a project in the classroom. So from next week onwards, we can start off with Figma. So there we can create these kind of a diagrams in Figma itself, in the Figma Jam board. It's a flow diagrams or any diagrams. All right, so that is all that we have to cover for the user research and all these differential, like differences and the similarities between UX and UI. And as you can see, UX is everywhere. Like if you go to the road, you can interact with a digital or a physical product. Let's say you ride a car, it is a product. So the user experience is also there. If you interact with a mobile application or social media application, the UX is there. The UX is everywhere, and also the bad UX is also everywhere. So these are some bad user experience. So this is a physical experience. Even though this marks as a bicycle riding path, they can't go over this to continue riding. Even here, this cup is really cute, but it is not doing the job it's supposed to do properly. Even here, it is not doing the job it is supposed to do. We can see so many of these in our country as well. So I think most of you are familiar with this example. In our TV remotes, there are so many unnecessary buttons. We will only require certain buttons to watch TV. So all of these are unnecessary. If you provide your users with so many options, they will get disappointed. So they will take some time to make a decision. What should I press? So make sure to give them less options, even if it is a physical device. In here, it is not the way it is supposed to be. The numbering is off. So make sure to give them what they expected. So in other lifts or elevators, the numbers are in a proper way, but this one don't have. So make sure to give users what they expecting, what they already have experienced with. This one also is a bad user experience. Users find it hard to reach to perform the task. Even here, even though this is marked as okay for people with wheelchairs, it is not. They won't be able to go through this curve. So I got a question from, in the user flow diagram, tab is for display result or subfolders. In this diagram, actually, it can use to, let's say for an example, they have a notification pop-up right here. So in this pop-up, they have two tabs. Two tabs means if I use this one, so I can open another tab here, like this kind of a design. So that is what it is mentioned by using this tab. You can change the legend to whatever the design you like, but in this particular scenario, that is what I'm trying to display. Is it clear, Samidu?
Yes, sir. Thanks.
All right. So those are some bad examples of UX. So these are physical examples. If you use a mobile application or anything, you can find out some digital examples as well. Okay, now we are going to discuss about some UX job roles. So when you start off your career as a designer, you can first become a trainee UX designer, or you can apply for an internship and work as a trainee designer and get design ideas or like advice from your co-designers or senior designers on how to design properly. So UX designer is the first job that you can get, or if you are into UX. UX, as I mentioned, if you're good with communication, if you're good with interacting with people, if you have good interpersonal skills, you can become a UX designer. But if you prefer visual designing, if you prefer using colors or creating designs using Figma, you can become a UI designer. If you have experience and expertise in both, you can become a UI and UX designer. With some experience in UX industry for at least 4 or 5 years, you can become a senior designer and a UX manager as well. UX researcher is someone who research about different UX aspects. For an example, when we try to design an application, he had to research about the competitors or even the users, the end users, to identify end users and empathize with them. Or even he might have to read some research papers as well. So the UX researcher is someone who have to carry out all these tasks. UX writer or a content writer is someone who understand about the UX, user experience, and he write content for the designs that we do. UX architecture is actually with the experience when you know about UX and the designing and the UI and the technology stacks behind these designs and all the information architecture and everything. If you are good at all those, you can become a UX architecture. Product designer or a product manager. So even though we use the term UX designer and UI designer in Asia or in Sri Lanka, most of the European countries or even US are using product designer as the term for the UX designer because most of these countries have physical products as well. If you take Europe, especially Germany, most of the product designers are working in automobile industry as well because they have so many industries in there. And even in US, they have so many innovative products. Even in China, they have so many innovative products where product designers' duty is to create those kind of a product. So if you uh, try to like go to some of these countries, you can study about digital product as well as physical product and become a product designer. And with the experience, you can create a product manager. Product owner is someone, let's say, similar to product manager, but he know ins and outs of this product. He knows about the users and he knows about our like let's say if we already have a product launch, he knows every screen, everything about the product we have. So if we have any questions, we can ask this particular product owner. And UI and UX engineer is something that you can do after you have some experience. Apart from UI and UX designing and the research, you should have technical experience as well. Maybe front-end development technologies, maybe server-related technologies and everything. You know about the all the technology stack that need in the UI and UX. So in that way, with the experience, you can become a UI and UX engineer and UI engineer as well. So if I go to Google and look for a job opportunity in Sri Lanka, let's say this one. So IFSC is looking for a UI UX senior UX designer. So this is the company description. So the job description starts from here. We are on lookout for dynamic, open-minded, and very creative individuals to join us as lead senior UX designers. We are offering a range of opportunities and R&D teams which represent the core technology of core technology. So these are the requirements. You must identify yourself first and foremost as an experienced interaction UX interaction designer. So even though they advertised as a senior UX designer, in here they have mentioned UX interaction designer. So you always have to make sure you read the job descriptions properly. Have a strong UI prototyping and UX design skills. Have a solid experience in UX testing. So those are the must like required expectations for this job. We would like to hear from people with, so these are good to haves. Passion toward UX and empathy for users, a track record for UX interaction. So these are good to have skills. So if you have those skills, you have the competitive advantage when comparing to people only have these must skills. So these are the qualifications and all the additional information are displayed here. So if I take another job post in different country, let's take this Ubisoft. So it is a gaming company. So they have clearly mentioned all the responsibilities. Uh, these are the responsibilities that they have to do if they get hired. So you can read and the qualification and the preferred qualifications and apply if it is matching your profile. So those are the job roles. If you want to know about the payments and the industry, you can go to some website like payscale.com and it will describe you. Actually, these are the statistics from US. So in Sri Lanka, we don't pay this much. It is very less. But if you get a freelancing project or a working from home project from this kind of a company, this is how much you can get yearly. So you can clearly see the entry level is starting from here, and early career, mid career, and experienced people are getting higher pay. See, these are some popular skills for UX designers. User experience designers' popularity is very high. User research, web design, user interface design, and interaction design. So these are some skills that you should have. Content management, strategic planning, product development, team leadership, project management. So in addition to all the UX and creativity skills, if you have these kind of skills, HTML5 coding, it will be helpful for you to find a job. If you start off as a UX designer, these are some career paths. You can be a lead UX designer with some experience or a senior product designer, senior UX designer, and UX manager. So this is the career paths that you can take. And also if you want to work in a certain company, you can go to a website like Glassdoor and read their reviews about certain company. So people work in this company, so people left these companies because of some reason. They are adding comments about this company's working culture and how they enjoyed working there, or is it really hectic or hard to work there. So you can refer to those websites and read what other people, other co-workers have to say about those working places. All right. Any questions regarding UX job roles? Okay, let's move on to essential UI and UX technical skills and how we can improve. So these are some essential skills that you should have if you want to become a good UX designer, UI and UX design. Number one is graphic design, vector and raster. So if you are good at graphic designing, vector can be illustrations, Adobe Illustrator and so on. And the raster is Adobe Photoshop or even some other raster applications such as Lightroom or anything. So graphic designing, if you can design a logo using Illustrator, even you can use Figma to design a logo nowadays. And there are some AI related applications as well. But if you are familiar with these applications, you can work with them anytime and create whatever design you like. So graphic designing is a good skill to have. And UI designing is if you're good at designing interfaces, web interfaces or mobile interfaces, it is another technical skills that you uh, should have if you want to become a UX designer. Motion graphic skills, 2D animation. So if you at least can animate a SVG, scalable vector graphic, by adding CSS code, or even if you can create a motion graphic using some other platforms such as Adobe Firefly or anything, you can some of these are essential skills. So SVG animation is actually widely used nowadays. So you have to make sure you add that to your skill set as well. Video and audio editing. So if you get a video or audio to put in your design, so you should be able to edit that video. So you should at least have basic video and audio editing skills if you want to be a UI and UX designer. So it won't require in every project, but there are sometimes you have to put your video or audio in your designs as well. UX skills is obvious, you should have that. And development skills also, if you have really, will really helpful. For an example, let's say one person is only having this designing background. He only know how to design and UX stuff and graphic design and all. And the other person, in addition to those designing skills, he has development skills as well. So when you're applying for a job opportunity, the person with development skills have more advantage. So always make sure at least to learn languages such as HTML, CSS, and some of JavaScript uh, in order to become a successful UI and UX designer and developer. Or soft skills are also really important in creative industry. Let's say when you create a design, you create a really nice design, and then you try to gather feedback. If you are not communicating well, if you are not don't have any like communication skills, if you are not good at interacting with people, that will negatively affect your UX design career. So always make sure to have good soft skills. And also another thing that you have to make sure in UX industry, uh, people have different opinions. So when you try to gather design feedback for your designs, some people will give you critical feedback. So when they give critical feedback, you don't have to feel disappointed or anything because they are only giving feedback to your designs, not to yourself. So don't take it personally and try to improve your design by referring to your design feedback and make sure uh, to create a better design, because everyone in the team, even the users, even the client or everyone in the team wanted to make a good product. So that is why they are giving critical feedback to your design. So feedback is really important and you have to make sure you take the feedback gracefully and create a successful designs. All right. So the next one is, these are some workspace skills that you should have. Collaboration. So every project, every UX project, even though if you work as a freelancer, you have to collaborate with different people. You have to collaborate with your client, or let's say there can be some decision makers in the industry, CTOs, CEOs, and everyone. You have to collaborate, and in your team itself, you have to collaborate with your co-designers or co-developer, project manager, project owner. So collaboration skills also really important. In Figma itself, when you design it, you have to collaborate with your co-designers, and you have to get feedback to your designs as well. Communication and presentation. So when you create a good design, you always have to communicate this to your co-design team members and also to the client, also maybe for the users as well. And in addition to communication skills, you should have good presentation skills as well. So when you finalize your wireframe, so final prototype, when you present it to your users or the decision makers, they will ask some questions. So why did you choose this particular color? Why is your typography like this? So you have to have good answers. You have to rationalize your design decisions and give answers to these questions and tell about the research you did and the motivations you have. What is the idea behind this? So all these things should come into place when you present your designs to your workplace. Prioritization and time management. So as I mentioned earlier as well, when we work in the industry, we will have to work in different projects simultaneously. So there can be a project with very tight deadlines. So you have to prioritize certain projects. So you can't work on a one project for 1 month every day. So you have to prioritize. So if this project's deadline is near, you have to prioritize that part. If another quick project come by, you have to work on that one as well. So always make sure to have good prioritization and time management and productivity skills as well. Next, we have to think like a UX design. As I mentioned in earlier slides, UX is everywhere. So you have to identify good and bad UX and how you can improve and use solution for that. So let's say, for an example, the road signs. So some of the road signs are hard to identify. They are not placed in the right place, and some of the advertisements are blocking their way, and so on. And you can research about that and identify what are the good things and bad things about this UX and how we can improve. And you can find solutions, like give suggestions. For an example, maybe we can put lighted LEDs, or maybe we can improve the visibility by not allowing people to advertise near these road signs and so on. So you have to find a solution for that and then find the best solution and make it like it to work. So that is how you think like a UX designer. So when you approach something, like when you interact with the product in daily life, let's say when you drive a car, you can get to know that is this a good user experience? Can I reach to my air condition controls while driving? Can I reach to my uh, media player while riding? So is it this a good user experience? How we can improve if this is not a good user experience, how we can improve? Is there anything that I can do to improve this design? And present your solution. So that is how you can think like a UX designer. So this is the book I mentioned earlier as well. Let me. So this one is actually available in Amazon, and in some local shops also this is available. And even I will put some PDF. It is freely available as a PDF in Internet Archive. So I will put that one as well. So if you read this book, you will get to know how design is really helpful for users. So if it is a good user experience, you will get to know it is easy to use and you don't even feel like using a product. So that is how well they have designed the product. So if it is really hard to use, for an example, we have already discussed some of the bad UX examples right here. So particularly this mug, it is really nice, but it is not doing the job it is supposed to do. So these people find it difficult to drink water from this cup. So make sure to read that book and think like a UX designer whenever you interact with certain digital or physical product. All right. So these are some UX portfolios and how you can build. So this is Dribble and Behance. So if you have an account in Dribble, what you can do is you can post your designs there. So users or recruiters, when they ask for your portfolio, you can send your Dribble account link and they will be able to see your designs like this. I'm sorry about my internet connection. I'm outside today, that is why. So you can create a profile here and showcase your designs like this. So some of these are illustrations, but if you go inside a Dribble, search for, let's say, banking UI. In addition to create portfolios here, you can get your design inspirations. So let's say you get a banking application you have to design, and you can search for the term banking, and it will show you some other banking applications that users have already designed by using applications such as Figma or anything. So you can get an idea, but don't just copy the design, get an inspiration and make sure to customize it according to your user needs. You can create a profile here. If you create a profile, it will give you this kind of a layout. So dribble.com and your dribble and will display, and you can send it to your users. All your designs you can display under work or collections. So all this data will be there. It is same in Behance as well. And if you have experience in web hosting and HTML and CSS, you can create your own portfolio and host it in some website like GitHub or Netlify or even Vercel, and you can send that link to your recruiters easily. Flickr is more into photography, so I'm not going to discuss about that, but in Flickr also you can add some screens there and maybe get the links to your website and display them there. So do you have any questions so far? So if you have coding experience, so I will show you my portfolio. It is actually designed few years back. You can create a website like this and you can showcase your designs as well. So this is the case studies. So case studies is something that you should write in your portfolio. Let's say if you only put this kind of a designs when you have experience, most of the recruiters won't hire you. So what you can do is you can write a story about the project you did, the topic and the UX process you follow, what is your job role, how much time you took to create this project, and uh, all these wireframes and everything you can add right here. So I have introduction and the problem I have, the mind map and the diagrams that I have designed, and this is the solution I came up with, and this is the UX process I follow. UX process we are going to discuss about in detail in coming week, and these are the research findings. These are the areas that I research. I send a questionnaire and I read research articles and also Google Trends and computer analysis records. These are some sketches that I did, wireframes and sketches, and these are some presentable wireframes. We call them high fidelity wireframes. Uh, after creating these pencil and paper wireframes, after gathering some feedback, I created these wireframes using an application called Marvel. So these are low fidelity prototypes or high fidelity wireframes we send again for the feedback, and these are the final designs. and the development. So it is actually a story. So if you tell your users or recruiters a good story, they will get to know that this person is following the UX process, and they will give you a chance to uh, proceed with the interviews. All right. So next week, when we come back, please create an account in Dribble or Behance. One of those will be enough. And also, if you don't have Figma application installed in your computer, go to Figma website. And in here we have get started. So Figma actually have two versions. You can use it on browser, and also you can download the application as well. So I recommend you to download the application because it has some features and it is somewhat faster when comparing to web application, because sometimes the internet connections get lost. Your design can be go away in the browser if it gets stuck. So if you have the application download, you can use all these application. It will save locally as well. Whenever you have internet connection, your designs will be uploaded to the cloud. So what I'm going to do is I will create you a batch here. Let's go back to our home screen. Design file. And for each and every one, I'm going to create a Figma board. So let's create a desktop board. And after you signing up, I will share this link on Google Classroom as well. Right now, I will send it on our Zoom chat. All right, please join that Figma board if you already have accounts. If you don't have accounts, save the URL. I will add it to our Google Classroom as well and join it. So I will create artboards for everyone so we can work. So this page is, let's create something. This one is for this one. So what we're going to do is we will do Figma practicals from next week. So in order to do that, I want everyone to create Figma accounts and save this board in your Figma. So if you access it once, it will automatically save in your recents. So we will start off doing Figma practicals from next week. So do you have any questions so far regarding today's session? And apart from Figma practicals, what I'm going to do next week is we're going to cover UX process. So in there, we are going to discuss about what is UX process and methods we use in the industry. how we can apply UX design process practically in our designs. How is empathy and why is it so important in design thinking? And user interviews and competitor analysis. Creating personas. I mentioned you personas several times in the beginning, and creating user flows as well. So please refer to our Google Classroom. In here we have I will put all the slides, and the administration will upload the video recording as well. I will add slides and the supporting material and everything up here. So if you have any questions regarding accessing to this one, please contact Modita, administrative staff. So I will send him a message as well. If you have any questions, you can ask now. So we will continue with UX process and some Figma practicals from next week. Devi, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. How about Fatima?
No, sir. Thank you.
Samidu, anything you want to know?
No, sir. Thanks.
Okay. How about Sadali?
No, sir, everything is clear.
So please sign up to Figma and join that board I have mentioned. So we will start off with Figma practical next week and do the UX process part 1 as well. We'll meet you in 1 week, 9 p.m. next Sunday. So have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.